So Fox essentially said, since you and Newt are exploring this and moving around and scheduling yourself with forums and the like, that you can't be on the payroll as contributors, which is a wise decision by Fox News. But they also said they will terminate that deal as of May 1st. It's suspended for now. Right. On May 1st, they will terminate it unless you have given them your word you are not running. So does that speed up your decision process?
No. I mean, it doesn't really affect my decision process at all. I sort of look at it as I've been very upfront about, you know, that I'm looking at this and exploring it, and it's not going to have any impact on what I'm hearing in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. What, you know, how our fundraising is going. All those things that, when you test the waters, you have to test to see how you're doing, really are quite separate than media appearances on Fox.
I asked Governor Huckabee about this last week. He's on a book tour, so I was allowed to talk to him.
Right.
I asked him, you know,
caveat
do you guys ever interact? I was joking with him. Do you have debates in the green rooms? Because you have Huckabee, Gingrich, Santorum, Palin, maybe John Bolton.
Right.
Do you guys interact at all? Do you have fun exchanges about who might be out there?
You know, I don't see Mike very often, but yeah, I see Newt quite a bit. I see John Bolton all the time, and no, I mean it's actually, you know, it's, as you know, I mean you covered campaigns before. There's a sense when you're involved in an effort, even though there's a rivalry, there's also a camaraderie that comes with it. And I think everyone has the same objective, which is we want to have a new president in 2013, and I think at this point that's really the focus of everybody.
I want to get to some substance of Rick Santorum, but a Fox executive told the LA Times today, well, they didn't do the same thing to Governor Palin or to Governor Huckabee because they see no evidence at the moment that they are actively taking steps to explore. Do you think they're going to run?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why Fox differentiated whether there's been conversations. They didn't talk to me and ask me whether I'm running or not. It was not something that we had a conversation about. I don't know whether other people have had conversations. And so all I can say is I think they made their call, and I respect it.
What would Rick Santorum's place in a Republican field be? Help me understand it. One prospective rival would be the governor of Indiana, Mitch Daniels, who is a social conservative, but has said, you know what, with the deficit problem we have, with the polarized politics we have, it's time to have a truce on issues like abortion and gay rights. Just set them aside for a few years, focus on fiscal issues. Does that sell with Rick Santorum?
No, it doesn't. I mean, to me, I look at almost every issue that we deal with in this country has a moral component to it, and so to divorce a moral component to the debt burden that we're leaving the next generation, the tax structure, to how we spend our money in Washington, how we, you know, how we value human life. I mean, all of those things, to me, interrelate. They're not separate issues. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ronald Reagan, but I think the concept of the three-legged stool of the Republican Party, I think, is a little amiss. I mean, the fabric of the stool is America as a moral enterprise. I mean, we are a people who believe in certain things and want to see a society in a certain way. We have common shared values, and those values are morally based. So I think to say we need to set that aside, just I think fundamentally misunderstands what America's about.
A college student a week or so ago questioned the morality of Newt Gingrich, raising the fact that he has been married 3 times, divorced twice. Is that an issue in Iowa? Is that an issue for Rick Santorum?
It's not an issue for Rick Santorum. It's, you know, every candidate out there or potential candidate out there is going to have issues. I mean, you know, they don't make them perfect anymore. And so I'm going to just go out and talk about, you know, what I have done in my career, what I stand for, what I'm about, and let the other folks do the same. And I think that's the best way we're going to get the best possible person to face off in 2012 against the president.
We'll have a lot of time to talk now because you can talk to us. And so I want to essentially use this as a threshold, set a baseline for Rick Santorum, and then we'll keep in touch as you make your decision. But to explain to somebody watching there right now who says, I think I might remember this guy. He was in the Senate, but he's been off the radar a little bit. Why? When you look at, there's Haley Barbour, Mitch Daniels, Mitt Romney, Tim Pawlenty, maybe Sarah Palin, maybe Newt Gingrich. Forget all them for a minute. Rick Santorum is the most qualified to be president. Why?
Well, as far as qualifications are concerned, I served 16 years in Congress, 4 in the House, and 12 in the United States Senate.
But is there an overriding message of Rick Santorum beyond the resume that makes you the superior candidate?
Well, you asked qualifications, so I answered qualifications. But as far as overwhelming I've been a consistent conservative on all the issues that I think people care about when it wasn't cool to be that. You know, I was out there fighting the reform battles that a lot of the Tea Party people are fighting right now. I was leading the charge on Social Security reform when it wasn't cool to do it back in 1995 and 97. I went on with Bill Clinton to Kansas City, Missouri, and charged with Bill Clinton trying to, this was before, unfortunately, the Monica Lewinsky situation where they were trying to do some serious things about entitlement. And I was out there as a freshman Republican in a state that had the second highest per capita population of seniors, Pennsylvania, leading the charge on Medicare and Social Security reform. I survived an election after that. Didn't survive a second one, but because I went out in 2004 and did the same thing when George W. Bush said we were going to reform Social Security. Jim DeMint and I went out, did debates on the floor of the United States Senate, talked about how we had to do Social Security reform. So I've been out there trying to control government spending, and at the same time have been a very, very strong pro-growth guy. I mean, I've worked on tax reform and other types of litigation reform, regulatory reform, reforming government to try to create a better atmosphere for businesses in this country. So on the issues that are sort of the front burner issues, I think I have a pretty good, solid record. And then the interesting thing is, I think where I maybe differentiate myself is I have a record on other issues that people care about, too. National security. I've served 8 years on the Armed Services Committee. I was author of 2 major pieces of foreign policy legislation, both of which in the Middle East, the Iran Freedom Support Act and the Assyrian Accountability Act, and really led the charge on trying to articulate at a time when I think the prior president and this president have shied away from identifying the enemy and talk about who the enemy is and why we need to know who the jihadists are and why they're at war with us. I've been out there touring the country.